Today's lesson is on proportions. Our definition is, a proportion is an equation that states that two ratios are equal. And we already used this concept last lesson when we talked about equivalent ratios, and we said that 10 to 18, the girls in the class, was an equivalent ratio to 5 to 9. Proportions are used in two main ways. The first way is to find out if two ratios are equal, and the second way is to find an unknown number in the proportion. Both of these cases require cross multiplying, and this is often known as cross products in some of the textbooks. Alright, so this is how we do this. To cross multiply, we multiply the denominator of one with the numerator of the other. So we have 10 times 9 is equal to 18 times 5. 10 times 9 is 90, and 18 times 5 is also 90. Okay, so that's how we use cross multiplying or cross products, and that's how you do it. So those were equivalent. So, to find an unknown, if a school has a student-to-teacher ratio of 15 to 1, how many teachers would we need for a school if it had 465 students in it? So we're going to set up our proportion. 15 students to 1 is the same as 465 students to how many teachers? Now we could also set this up a slightly different way. We could set up our original numbers on top. So that was the 15 to 1 is the same as 465 is to x. Now if you think about it, this is taking that and turning it 90 degrees. And in class we will talk about different ways to set these up and also how to set these up without making mistakes. Both of these are correct. So it doesn't matter which one you use, and often you will use whatever seems most obvious to you. But there are a few ways to set them up where you can make an error. So we'll avoid those in class. Alright, so let's go ahead and solve this problem. So 15 to 1 is the same as 465 to x. So we will use our cross products, and we will have 15 times x is the same as 1 times 465. So 15 times x is the same as 15x. 1 times 465 is 465. And now I'm going to divide by the coefficient of x. The coefficient is merely the number in front of the x that it's multiplied with. So I will divide by that. This will cancel, and I will be left with x. And that's why we do it. And then this we will be left with 31. So if our student-to-teacher ratio is 15 to 1, then in a school with 465 students, we would need 31 teachers. Now we're going to do some more solving of proportions. So we want to find out if this example, 10 to 12, is the same as 15 to 18. We want to find out if those ratios are equivalent or equal. So we set them equal with an equal sign. 10 over 12 is the same as equal to 15 over 18. We're using our cross multiplying or cross products. And so we have 10 is 10 times 18, because we go up here and up there, and 12 times 15. 10 times 18 is going to be 18 with a 0 on the end. 12 times 15. Well, again, we don't need a calculator to do this. 10 times 15 would be 150, and 2 times 15 would be 30, so that's 180. Now, 180 equals 180 is a true statement. So as this is true, this is a proportion. Once we've established that that is true, then those are proportional to each other. Okay, let's do another one. Is this proportion? 3 to 4 is the same as 5 to 6. Sometimes it's tempting to look at these and say, well, this is just one more that the denominator or the bottom is one more than the top, same here. But proportionality and ratios and equivalent ratios are not about adding or subtracting, they're about multiplying and dividing. Alright, so we set them equal. 3/4 equals 5/6. We're going to use cross products. So 3 times 6 equals 4 times 5. 18 equals 20. Well, this is not true. So it is not a proportion because that wasn't true. So again, we set them up equally as equals, use cross products, and then find out if that's a true statement, or not to find out if they're proportional. Alright, let's move to solving a proportion. Okay, we want to know then 7 to 84 is the same as 12 to what? As we've done all along, we're going to use cross multiplying. 7 times h is 12 times 84. Well, 7 times h is 7h, and 12 times 84. We've got 840 for 10 times, and then 168. So that's going to be 1008. Then I'm going to divide by the coefficient of h, and that cancels out, which is why we're doing it, and we will end up with 144. So, often with these, it is tempting to look at the numbers. I know that if I know my multiplication facts, I know that 12 times 7 is 84, so we might want to connect those numbers and conclude that this is 1 or something else. But you have to think carefully about them. Don't jump to conclusions about the numbers. Okay? But another way to look at this is we multiplied by 12 here. If I multiply by 12 here, I get 144. So that's sometimes a shortcut way to solve them if you see the relationship, but you must see it properly. Alright, one more then. 9 is to 500 as P is to 2500 or 2500. So we're going to set them equal, use our cross products, our cross multiplying. We will get 2500 times 9 equals 500p. Alright, we get 22,500 equals 500p. Now, I'm going to divide by the coefficient, which is 500, coefficient of p, which is 500, or I can just divide by 10. When I divide by 10, I'm knocking a 0 off. I'm going to divide by another 10 here, and knock another 0 off, and that just leaves me then with a smaller number that perhaps I can do without having to resort to a calculator. So now I'm going to divide by 5, p equals 45, or as we turn it around properly, p equals 45. Now again, if you saw the relationship here, 1 is 5 times the other. The second number is 5 times the first, and so if we use that same rule here, 9 times 5, p will be 45. So these shortcuts, if you can see what is, when they're being multiplied or divided by the same amount, you can solve them more quickly. If you have a calculator, then this is no problem for you also. So in class, we will do some more of these, either finding out if they're proportions or solving proportions. Now these have had no kind of application problem. I've just been doing simple problems. In class, we will be doing more application problems that have situations to them, because those are the more important questions.